Hey, welcome to another class of Tuesday Night Beer School with me, Chad of Chad's Beer Reviews, and Simon from the Real Ale Guide. Are you actually you go by Real Ale Craft Beer now, huh?
That's me, yeah, that's
You'll
me.
always be Real Ale Guide to me.
Yeah, you'll always be Chad's beer reviews to me. Or Chad
Yeah.
9976.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Speaking, I mean, the beer that we're doing, the style we're doing is, one of your from your country. So
Yeah.
I need the Real Ale Guide to, to analyze this real ale style.
Oh,
So, we are talking about yeah, Old Speckled Hen. That's interesting because Simon has a bottle and I have a can, which I believe may be on nitro. All right,
okay.
so this is style 11C strong bitter. There's three different bitters according to the BJCP. There's ordinary bitter, which is like real light, like 4.2 ABV and under, and then there's best bitter, which is like 3.8 to 4.4 or something like that, and then there's strong bitter, and like they're all very similar. And maybe you can kind of walk us through this, but anyway, overall impression: an average strength to moderately strong British bitter ale. The balance may vary between fairly even between malt and hops to somewhat bitter. Drinkability is a critical component of the style, a rather broad style that allows for considerable interpretation by the brewer. I love this. I love this comments part in here. I mean, maybe you can comment on this comment. In
Yeah.
England today, ESB is a Fuller's trademark, and no one thinks of it as a generic class of beer. A lot of American breweries will make British style beers like this, and they just call it ESB,
Yeah.
even
Now,
though
some people see it as extra special bitter. Some people
yeah,
see it as English special bitter. I think more
or extra strong bitter.
extra strong bitter. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I would sit it. Yeah.
Uh, Says it's a unique but very well known beer that has a very yeah, we know about that one. Remember we reviewed Wells Bombardier like 10 years ago. I think that's considered like a same
We
style as this one.
we did. Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
so I mean they just basically say like for history, it's basically a British pale ale. It's funny because like there's no actual style called English pale ale or British pale ale. So if you ever have a beer that says English pale ale on it, like this one does, it's probably a strong bitter.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so
mine is called a distinctive English pale ale.
mhm,
Probably very similar to yours. Yeah.
mhm. I'll let the
Yeah.
viewers pause and read if they want to read the ingredients, but style comparison, more evident malt and hop flavors than in a special or best bitter, as well as more alcohol. Stronger versions may overlap somewhat with British strong ales. Let's see, more malt flavor, particularly caramel and esters than American pale ale with different finishing hop character. So yeah, the vitals 4.6 to 6.2 ABV in the commercial examples. I'm actually surprised this isn't on the list. When you're judging beer, you always start with aroma first because like the aroma is like the most volatile. So let's uh let's stick our noses in this, see what we get.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I notice is that there's a bit of a diacetyl character to it, like a little bit buttery. Are you getting
That
that?
would. Yeah, I'm getting that. That would be brewing syrup, I would say.
Hmm.
A lot of brewers in the UK now replace some of the malts and the other flavor like the wheat with brewing syrup just to make the brewing process a bit cheaper. So you might be smelling a little bit
Like
of
liquid malt extract, you mean?
yeah, well, syrups with lots of like glucose syrup.
Oh, just straight up like a sugar syrup.
Yes, which is if you put your nose back into the beer now, you might be able
Yeah.
to kind of recognize that.
Do you now yours was in a clear bottle. Is yours skunky?
Not at all. Not at all. No,
Hmm.
I don't really think that the hops in this beer are going to be quite high, so it hasn't been affected by that skunkiness.
Okay. To me, this has like kind of like a sweet aroma. It smells like to me, it smells like when you walk into a bar or like a liquor store and it's just years and years of beer and liquor spilled on the floor, you
Yes,
know?
yes, absolutely that. A little bit of malt in there, a little bit
Yeah.
of a spicy kind of peppery note on the back end. That might be the hops coming through.
I really can't pick up much in the way of hops as far as the aroma. To me, it's just like a creamy smell. It's almost like coffee creamer,
Yeah.
but it just has like a sweetness. Little, like I said, little buttery. Yeah, it's definitely malty for sure. No alcohol. I mean, it shouldn't be. It's only 4.8.
Yeah, it
All right.
used to be. I'm sure it used to be 5.2.
Yeah. Let's check the specs on aroma. This is interesting. It says hop aroma moderately high to moderate. Okay, so they give you quite a range. I don't know why they start with hop. The hop aroma, right? Hop aroma moderately high to moderately low. I mean, I would say mine is low.
Low.
Typically with a floral, earthy, resin, or fruity character. That's another thing I forgot to mention is that I do get a fruity. I can't pick out like any individual fruit on this, but it does have like a
No.
fruity
Yeah.
bouquet, I guess. Medium to medium high malt aroma, optionally with a low to moderate caramel component. I agree with that. There is, like I said, it has a sweet smell.
Little bit
Medium
sweet.
low. Go ahead.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm struggling to get past that glucose syrup sweet aroma in this. I'm struggling with the.
I think that's just diacetyl because it says medium low to medium high fruity esters. I agree. I'm definitely getting fruity on here. It says generally no diacetyl, although very low levels are allowed. But I would say this is much higher than very low. Like I'd say it's like moderately. So aroma is on a scale of 1 to 12, and like you're judging it based on how well this beer conforms to those guidelines.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm gonna go actually a little low on this one for me. I'm usually a generous judge. I'm gonna say 9. I could even maybe go 8 on that. What do you think?
I'm thinking 7.
7. Okay.
I'm thinking 7. Yeah.
Yeah. I might come back because I could I could bump that down if I had to. All right. So appearance, I'm not sure how it's looking in the light. I would call this copper amber. Yeah. Very clear. Yours is clear too.
Very clear. Yeah. Very clear looking beer. Good amounts of carbonation. Yeah,
I don't see any bubbles in mine.
No, can you see mine's? Can you see?
Oh yeah, I see yours. Yeah,
mine's carbonated. Yeah,
I think that might be the difference because mine's on nitro and yours is just CO2.
Probably. Yeah, I'm wondering if they had to brew it differently for the American market if they put it in nitro cans.
I think it's probably just a packaging thing, like off the bright tanks. But we'd have to ask a pro brewer.
Yes, we should do.
I mean, you've brewed a bunch of beers. Call up. Don't you get like brains?
I could speak to Ross. I could speak to Ross who makes this beer. I could ask him. Is there a different brewing process with this? Yeah.
All right, let's check the specs for appearance. It says light amber to deep copper color, good to brilliant clarity, low to moderate white to off-white head. A low head is acceptable when carbonation is also low. Okay. All right. So as far as the appearance, it's right there. And appearance on a scale of 1 to 3. So I'm going to give it the full 3 out of 3.
Yes, I'll agree with you. The appearance, they've got that really well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here comes the best part. Let's dive in. Cheers.
Let's get in. Cheers, Chad.
I don't really get English or British beers like this hardly anymore, but this takes me back to the early days of my show. And then I don't know, that bar Mahar's in Albany.
Yes.
Had like, I mean, I know you've never been there, but they had 6 cask engines there. And this tastes like a cask ale.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. No, I remember them days well. I remember how keen we all were back in the day. Well, it's been 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah. So what's your initial impressions off the taste on here?
So I'm still going to stick with my initial glucose syrup, kind of straight up glucose syrup, little bit of a spicy, peppery bitterness on the back end, a little bit bitter on the back end. It does have some malt qualities coming through, but it's all a bit like, it's very difficult to pull any actual individual flavors out of this beer. You're not going to be talking about kind of like raspberry or blackberry or maybe some brown bread, or it's all very much. There's such a big brewery now, Green King. There's such a big brewery that I'm not going to say they don't want to try, but I just think there's so many brewers in the UK now. The problem is with UK brewing, you don't have to put the ingredients on the back of the label. So you won't find on the back of the label that they've brewed this with brewing syrups. But
Right.
but I can taste it. I don't know how you feel about it. But I'm quite passionate about it. I'm not a fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel?
Well, yeah. I mean, the first thing I noticed on the first sip on this is that it's more sweet than bitter for sure.
Mm, mm.
But I mean, it's far from like a 10% pastry stout or something like that, you know. Like I said, diacetyl on the nose, so like it has like a slight kind of buttery, maybe not butter, but more like butterscotch, like
Yeah,
butterscotch candy or caramel candy, like those hard suckers that you get at your grandparents' house, you know.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
And definitely just like that classic English malt character. It's weird because like it's not quite toasty, it's not quite bready,
Mm.
and it's also again, like I said on the nose, like just a general fruity essence, like maybe some kind of like red or dried fruit, but I'm sure like that's all from the yeast.
I'd love to get you over to the UK one day, Chad. I'd love to take you to some of the local breweries around here, or maybe even some of the national breweries where you can
Mhm.
drink some fantastic. I'm thinking like Hobson's breweries up in Shropshire, where it's 100% malt, and it will blow your mind how good those beers are. Um, I hope your viewers, and I hope we don't think I'm being a bit too harsh with this beer. It's just I on a personal level, I don't think this is a great representation of what we can produce here in the UK, and that's just
Yeah.
my honest opinion.
I think because mine's on nitro, is like I always find like with nitro beers is that like they really inhibit the hops. So like I'm not sure how like hoppy yours is, but like mine is like real faint. And also the fact that it's a fairly old can. Maybe yours is fresher. It probably is.
Really
Um,
faint. Nah, really faint. I mean, I'm picking up more of like a peppery spiciness coming through, maybe a little bit of bitterness on the throat there, but it's not huge. It's leaning more into that kind of glucose
yeah.
sweet style of beer for me.
All right. Let's go over the specs for flavor. Medium to medium high bitterness with supporting malt flavors evident. All right. See, first of all, like right off the rip is like to me, this doesn't strike me as like a bitter beer. It's
No.
it's fairly sweet. The
Yeah.
malt profile is typically bready, biscuity, nutty, or slightly toasty, and optionally has a moderately low to moderate caramel or toffee flavor. Oh yeah, maybe toffee. That's what I was thinking of.
Mm.
That caramel or toffee might be off the syrup that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Hop flavor moderate to moderately high, typically with a floral, earthy, resiny, or fruity character. Hop bitterness and flavor should be noticeable, but should not totally dominate malt flavors. Yeah. Moderately low to high fruity esters. Okay, yeah, I would say, but it's wow, they're even saying high fruity esters. Yeah, mine's very fruity.
Yeah.
Optionally, may have low amounts of alcohol. Yeah, I'm not getting any alcohol in mine. Medium dry to dry finish. Generally no diacetyl, though very low levels. Okay, so
Mm.
um, yeah, it's funny because
Actually,
like it's there.
you're getting lots of diacetyl in yours.
I think I'm just like really sensitive to it.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, I'm not a
like
fan.
some
I'm not.
people you might have to like point it. Like I said, it's like maybe that's more like butterscotch, or I mean, it could be the brewer syrup you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, I think this is on a scale of 1 to 20 as far as flavor. Like to me, it's not as hoppy as the specs are saying, and it's a little buttery.
Mm.
Otherwise, I mean, it's still. I'm gonna go. 14. I think is
Do you
fair.
know? I'm gonna go with you on that. I was thinking exactly the same thing. About a 14 is
14.
about right. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, most definitely. Mouthfeel,
Okay.
that's an interesting one.
Yeah. Let's talk about what's the body and CO2 like for you?
You can see some of the body by rocking the beer back and forth. You can see that
Yeah.
carbonation chasing that head of the glass. It's not bad. It's not a bad body to the beer.
Like
It's
like
creamy
it's
and
like. Go ahead.
rich, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, and mine's like especially creamy because it's on nitro. Like
Yeah.
as far as the actual weight or viscosity, I'd probably put it. I mean, it's not full bodied. Like when I think full bodied, I think 10% stout, you know? But I would definitely say it has like a definite weight to it, a bit of a thickness. So I'd say
Yeah.
it's like at least medium body, maybe I don't know if I go as far as say medium full, but I agree, yeah, smooth, creamy texture. Carbonation, it throws like with nitro, it always seems low because it's just like so smooth, like it's not bubbly, you know? Like mine, so
It,
I'd probably say mine's like medium body, creamy textures, low carbonation. How's yours?
mine's kind of like slightly more zippy with the carbonation. I've shown you views
Yeah.
that with the glass. I would say for the style, for the particular style, I would say yeah, it's about a medium mouthfeel beer. They've got that right. Um, yeah, it kind of like sticks to the palate a little bit like you want it to do. It's not super thin like a lager. It's not super thick like a stout. It probably sits in the middle, doesn't it?
How's the CO2? How would you describe that?
It's a little zippy. Just a little zippy on the palate, kind of like just
But it's not like champagne carbonation.
nowhere near like a champagne yeast. No, it's much more kind of just what's the word? What would the word be?
Like a
Probably
moderate?
moderate, yeah, normal levels of carbonation. I think, yeah,
Okay.
you can see it there.
Yeah. All right, let's see what the specs say. Medium light to medium full body. Okay. Low to moderate carbonation, although bottle versions will be higher. Yeah. Stronger
Mm,
versions may have a slight alcohol warmth with this character. Yeah. I mean, I'm not getting alcohol warmth on here. I don't know if
no,
you are.
no,
I mean, it's such
no.
a light beer. I'm not going to get booze on there. So, mouthfeels on a scale of 1 to 5. Honestly, I could give this a full 5 out of 5. What do you think?
I reckon about a 4.
4? Okay.
Yeah,
Overall, now this is basically your personal preference right here. I mean, it's definitely, one of the originators of the style, or at least like one of the modern examples of the style.
yeah.
But like, it's not 100% to like what the specs say. So I mean, maybe we should have judged this as best bitter instead of strong bitter.
I
But I
think
mean, it's
think strong bitter's in the right category. Now, I sat around the table with a load of brewers
mhm,
in Sweden a few years ago, and we were talking about this overall kind of score thing. And one of the brewers sat around the table, slightly hungover, turned to me and he said, "Do you know the best way we can just kind of like be satisfied with a score or a rating is if the customer wants to buy it again." So
yeah,
I'll reverse this to you and I'll ask you the question with the overall score. Would you buy this beer again?
yeah. Well, on as far as like on this specs, it's more about how well does it conform to the guidelines
Right.
than
Okay.
like but on a scale of 1 to 10, to me, this is a 7.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on a 7. Yeah.
Okay. So I got a total score of 38 out of 50. You got 35. So basically, I mean, basically it is like a 7 out of 10.
Very.
It's good. It's not great. Um, my main complaint is that it's a little too buttery and not enough hops.
My main complaint would be the brewing syrup. I'm very
Yeah.
much like diacetyl for you. I'm very much kind of like tuned into only because I've brewed with big brewers and I've seen them pull the lever on the brewing syrup and it's like this stuff going into the brew and you're like no, I don't want any of that. I didn't agree to that with the collaboration.
It's a way of it's like being chintzy, you know.
It's cheap, yeah. It's a cheap way of brewing beer, which yeah. Ever since I had my eyes open to that, I've always been very, very sensitive to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going really long, but if you stick around, I'll be doing a podcast. Actually, the podcast will drop before this will drop. So I'll have links to it somewhere. So thanks to Simon for doing this. And I will see you in the podcast room.
Thank you for having me. Thanks,
Yep.
guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Review. Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.